Hey, babe, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. So, this is our first podcast back after our trip to Seattle. Are
Hmm.
you feeling as strange as I am after we got back from Seattle? I was just like, what am I doing? I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. This is like,
It's a little surreal. I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie. It's a little surreal. Like I feel like I'm waiting for reality to like catch up with, or my brain to catch up with reality.
Yes.
Something along those lines.
Totally. And we can't say anything yet about what happened in Seattle, but we will be very soon. And I will give you a little hint, and that is that you should mark November 4th as a new yearly holiday that we are going to be celebrating in regards to this case. Now, let me be very clear. The case has not been reopened yet to obviously the best of anyone's knowledge, but we will be able to share some interesting stuff with you over the next couple weeks. So please stay tuned, and we will do that as soon as possible. Today, we wanted to talk about the women who were hanging out at the Lake Washington house in and around the time Kurt died. And there's always been this confusion, I think, as to was Jessica there? Was Jennifer there? Because they were both dating Cali. So
Mhm.
let's talk a little bit about that timeline. And Rachel, you sort of have as much as you can figure out, but from the many sources talking about what happened that week that Kurt after he left Exodus. So where do we start with that between Jessica and Jennifer?
So, as we all know, Kurt left Exodus April 1st, and got back to Seattle in like the very early hours of April 2nd. It was like just after midnight, about 1 a.m. Um, From there, he ended up running into Callie and Jessica because Jessica was staying at the Lake Washington house with him at that point in time. Um, and there's kind of different accounts, but basically the consensus is that he went in and sat down and talked to the two of them for a little bit. They urged him to call Courtney. He supposedly did. Um, I their Peninsula Hotel says that that never took place, but that is what they both claim. Is that he tried to call Courtney, couldn't get through, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and then it was, I believe, the next day. So that would be April 2nd. So then I believe it's the next day that Jessica flies back home. Um, because Callie was supposed to buy her a plane ticket. And with the card being canceled, he was not able to. So she had to call her dad and say basically, like, I can't tell you why, but I need you to buy me a $600 flight home. And he
Does
did.
he know that his
Callie, or
16-year-old daughter is hanging out with these much older rock stars? I mean, Callie wasn't much older, but that she's staying with her
I think,
boyfriend.
I think so.
Okay.
Um, I
All
don't
right.
think they knew. I don't think they knew everything. Because there were parts where she talks very much about like my parents said no, like I would not let that happen. And I know there was at least one trip, I want to say it was maybe her first trip out to Seattle where she told them that she was going to look at schools. Um, so I don't I'm positive that they did not know the extent
Okay.
of everything, but I think they knew at least some.
Got
Um,
it. Okay.
um, So then she leaves, and there's, of course, the whole infamous story about her supposedly being sick and puking in the driveway before she got in the cab slash limo, depending on which version of the story you read. Um, and
So at this
then,
point, we don't believe Kurt is has been. We don't believe he's gone at this point
correct,
when she's
he's
leaving.
still alive. Is yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and then it was. Let me think about this. I believe it was April 5th or 6th that Callie leaves the Lake Washington house. I want to say it's the 5th. That Callie leaves and goes and stays at Jennifer Adamson's house. Um, it might have even been the 4th. I'm sorry, I should have verified that. But he leaves not long after Jessica flies home. He leaves the Lake Washington house and goes and stays at Jennifer Adamson's house. Um, they at one point supposedly go back to the house because Courtney asked them to look for Kurt. Um, and then April 7th, he flies down to Los Angeles. He claims it was because um, to prove to Courtney that he was not harboring Kurt and lying to her about it.
Right. Okay.
Was his excuse for flying down there. Because then, of course, he flies back the next day, as soon as the body's
If
found and the news breaks. And
so, let's just go over. So Joe is saying that Jennifer and Cali are at the Lake Washington house for a few days. So
mm,
if Jessica leaves on the second, then Jennifer comes. Like, I'm not really sure how that timeline is working. If Cali went to stay at Jennifer's house, like they're obviously, we know they were at the Lake Washington house for days, and we'll go into why we know that here in a few minutes. So we
yeah,
know Jennifer was at the house when Kurt was when the homicide happened. So
yeah.
um I'm just not sure how that timeline is. We know Jessica was not there,
I
Jennifer was. I just can't quite put the timeline together.
um, their timeline does not make a whole lot of sense in a lot of places and in a lot of ways. Um, I there's a part of me that believes that there's a chance that Jessica was never even there at all.
Uh,
Um, and that she was like called right after the body was discovered and like brought in to help to explain, because she's an innocent child, and there's that whole piece. Because yeah, it doesn't really add up. I know there's because of the Peninsula phone records, supposedly, that Tom Grant has. I know it says in Love and Death that Courtney was calling and talking to Cali at Jennifer's house. And I believe that started on the 5th, which is why I said the 5th
uh,
before. Um, but for the few days prior to that, um, it could have been that they were just at the house,
I think
like
that
Washington House.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And again, going along with what Joe said, he said they were hanging out, they were partying for a few days. And then the gunshot, he heard the gunshot and the homicide happened. I believe it was probably the morning of the 5th, could be the morning of the 4th, and that they all got in the car and all went to Jennifer's place. So that
Yeah.
would make sense that now yes, now Courtney is talking to Kelly at Jennifer's place
Yes.
as of the day of the 4th or the 5th. So I think that makes sense. Now, um, we have a lot of stuff on Jessica. We don't have a ton of stuff on Bonnie, and we have very little on Jennifer Adamson. So let's talk a little bit about her first, since she's. I want to say also, like, Jennifer is deceased. We don't think she had anything to do, obviously nothing to do with his death, and
Yeah.
by every account, I think she was a very nice person, and of course, we wish that she was still with us for many reasons, but she died in what year?
She died in 2000, on May 20th of 2000, in Missoula, Montana. She was 29, which is just way too young.
Yeah.
She died of a drug overdose. Um,
Was it
she was
opiates,
I'm
or
sorry.
was it opiates? Do
It
we
it
know?
it didn't say.
Okay.
It just said a drug overdose. I I would assume, based off of her history with that, but I guess you don't really know.
Yeah.
Um, she was a supervisor at a group home for adults with disabilities.
Okay.
So I think that kind of speaks to her. I think she was kind of troubled, but genuinely a caring, sensitive, like loving, good person.
Yeah.
Is very much the vibe I got from what I read about her. Um, Her parents are obviously Kit Culkin, which is the father of like Macaulay and Kieran and Rory and that whole crew. She is the oldest of the kids. Um, and then she's the only one that has a different mother. Her mother is
Uh,
Adina Van Wagener. And so she grew up, at least as a kid, with the rest of them. I'm not really sure what the
so she didn't live with the mom. She lived with the Culkins.
I don't I don't know who she lived with,
Oh,
but
okay. Got it.
it's the articles and the stuff that I read in like her obituary talked about how she spent a good amount of time with her siblings growing up.
Ah, okay.
Um, so like I don't know if it was just like shared custody or they lived close or something along those lines. And she's also like one of the only Culkins or Culkin children that did not go into
Mm.
um the entertainment business in any way
Right.
whatsoever.
Okay.
Because there's numerous of them that either successfully did or attempted to. But yeah, she was born June 27th, 1970 in New York City. Um, and that's the only other piece in regards to her siblings is because I know there's a big misconception about like her death potentially being mysterious because she had a drug overdose after being clean, and that a family member of hers died quickly thereafter in a suspicious way.
So, before Joe Burns came and gave his statement about Jennifer being the person, one of the other people who was there when Kurt died, did it ever occur to you that Jennifer was there, or was that the first you'd
Um
ever heard of it?
I had heard of her, and like I knew that she was around. I don't know that I really realized that she was there that night.
Yeah.
Um I always kind of felt like she probably knew what happened, and had questions about how much she knew and what she may have seen, um, and always wished that she could have spoken up. But yeah,
So I want to let people know that we've received a couple of tips about Jennifer, and I'm going to give you guys the broad strokes. So, um, we know that she worked with one of Kurt's friends in Seattle, back in, I believe it was 99, and she told him that she was there the night Kurt passed. And we got another email very recently, and my Canadian friends, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Somebody met her at a Zeller's department store in Canada around 1999. And they said, I still remember what she said to me. I was in high school at the time. She told us she was one of the last people to see Kurt Cobain alive. I turned as my jaw dropped in exclamation, and she looked at me. So you know who I am? I said, yes, you're Jennifer. And I had recognized her face. She proceeded to tell us she was at Kurt's house the time he died. So, and then we have another email from, gosh, about 9 months ago, where somebody else who had met Jennifer at a show, like a gig, a concert, who said the same thing, that Jennifer told him that she was at the house the night Kurt died. So, um, I mean, I suppose these could be three people with just random different stories, and then Joe's as well. But I think it's fairly clear that Jennifer was the girlfriend of Cali who was there when Kurt died, not Jessica Hopper. So I'm with you. I think all the Jessica Hopper stuff is weird, bizarre lies that Courtney. I mean, we'll go into Jessica in a second, but we know Courtney groomed this girl since she was 16, and
yeah,
I'm not talking about Jessica's writing, because it may be lovely and she may be very talented, but Courtney is, the reason, a big reason for her having a career. So we don't ever expect Hopper to admit to anything that she knows. I'm sure she does know exactly what happened to Kurt. And I think that, Courtney comes up with these very strange lies and different things that
very
happen. I mean,
elaborate.
very elaborate. So who knows why she thought having Jessica say she puked in the driveway, having Jessica say she was the one who was there, maybe because she knew Jessica, if asked, would toe the party line, whereas
Deny.
Jennifer
Yeah.
wouldn't. Exactly. And so, and again, like you said, Jessica was a 16-year-old girl, very like innocent, nice family, oh, well, she
Well,
was there,
and she was straight edge. And she was
Oh,
16,
okay.
I believe, when Kurt died, but she was even younger than that. When Courtney, wow. Courtney, sorry, I don't ever call them that. I don't know where that just came from. Um, but when Courtney first reached out to her, I want to say she was like 15. Um, and the whole thing's very, very odd.
Icky?
But yeah, I know it was a big deal, and it was like very much stressed that she was straight edge, no
Okay.
drugs, no alcohol, period.
So how was she dating
And I
Callie?
your guess is as good as mine, girlfriend, because it
Okay. All
makes
right.
not a lick of sense to me. Um, like I know back when I was like very, very anti-drugs, like I used to get really annoyed at like my sister for smoking a little weed.
Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
I if I found out a guy even smoked weed, I was like, nope, Done. Sorry. Like,
This is before you decided you had a crush on Kurt, I would assume.
um, yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think he was just like the exception to the rule.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because this is when I was like, I don't know, 14 to 17, 18
Yeah.
ish. Um, yeah, I was
Yeah.
just like, drugs are bad, and very, very judgy and pushy about it.
Yeah. I went through that too. My dad was an alcoholic. So yeah, I was like,
yeah.
cluck, cluck, cluck until I turned 19. And then I was like, woo, it's just like do all the things. So yeah.
Like, well, these are maybe fun. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about because I think you said it was very odd. I used the word icky, which I like to,
Yeah.
Courtney icky in the icky core, I would say. That's her kind of genre of punk. She's just gross and has I will say, fetish for grooming children. And
Yeah.
we will talk about her Epstein connection in, I believe, the next podcast because we have some interesting things to add there. So those of you who love Courtney may want to skip that next episode if you're still standing up for this wretched human being. But let's talk about what she was doing with both Cali as a minor and Jessica as a minor. And can you tell me how she kind of met Jessica? What her age was, how that sort of transpired.
Um, so she met Jessica through Everett True, who worked for he's a journalist for Melody Maker.
Yeah.
Well, he's a journalist and then he also worked for Melody Maker in the UK. Um, but it was, I believe, Jessica submitted something to him, and they kind of ended up conversing, and then through that connection, Courtney ended up reaching out to Jessica. She sent her, I think it was like a whole package. I know there was a 16-page letter, and a whole t-shirt, and just kind of went on and on and on. And Jessica said basically that, um, because of the way that Courtney was like demonized and looked down on and all of that, that she really felt like a kinship to her because that was how she felt, because she was
Sure.
very kind of ostracized where she was from. She was not the norm. She was very much like a riot girl, feminist, hardcore, like punk rocker, that whole vibe.
Didn't she write a
Um,
little zine? I thought she wrote a review of
she
one of Hull's. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she did. She had a fanzine, that at one point Kurt and Courtney, like when she couldn't afford to keep doing it, Kurt and Courtney gave her like $300 to
Mm.
keep making her fanzine. Um, but so from there, the two of them conversed and ended up getting really close, um, talking all the time, and then she ended up flying out to Seattle, and it just kind of took off from there.
And I mean, Courtney is what, 28, 29 at this point? We know she lies about her age, so it's hard to know. I believe she was 30 when Kurt passed. Is that
I
correct? Or 29?
I believe so. I always forget because she lies about her age. I want to say she was 30.
Okay.
Because if he was 27, I believe that makes her 30.
Okay.
Actually 30 when he passed away.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, if she's 30 and Jessica's 16, you do the math. That's
Yeah.
weird.
So she
Um,
has also now, I know this isn't Callie's episode, but we need to talk about Callie for a hot second. Callie's
yeah.
19 the year in 94. How does Courtney know Callie? Can you tell me that story? Because I like this
Um,
one.
so they met at a little like coffee shop down in California, because Callie had started working there when he dropped out of high school. And from there, they began dating and spending a lot of time together.
And this is
And he,
pre-Kurt.
yeah, yeah.
So how old
Not
was
long
Callie then?
pre Kurt.
16?
I want to say 16, 17.
Okay.
Um,
And so Courtney would have
yeah.
been 27 at this point. And can you tell me if that is something that's acceptable to do to any child?
That's no,
Okay.
not even a little bit.
Okay.
Um, there's a word for that actually.
And I
Couple of
think,
words.
again, we'll
Uh,
probably say words like that in the next podcast when we talk again about what Courtney's connection to Epstein.
yeah,
So,
I'll say
yes.
one
Okay.
word starts with an R, and the other word starts with a P.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
uh,
So, yes, we're going to do
um,
Courtney crossword puzzles. That would actually be fun.
it would be,
It would get banned, but it would be fun. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There are quite a few minors, children, that are associated with her. Um, like I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the Osbournes,
Hmm.
and the stories that Kelly and Jack have told
Yeah.
about their time at her house.
Yeah.
Like specifically when Jack was dating Brienne, Kurt's little sister,
Hmm.
and spending a lot of time over there, and Courtney was giving them drugs and um,
Wasn't
things
she
like that.
showing them like Kurt's hair with like
Made
blood
them
in it or
hold.
something?
Yeah, like, she had Kelly what Kelly said is that she told her, like, "Put out your hands," and then when she did, she put Kurt's bloody hair that they shaved off his head in the autopsy in her hand, and
Vile.
she dropped it, and Courtney yelled at her, like, "What did you think was gonna happen?"
Oh my God. And I believe
Like,
Sharon
it's a
is not a
child.
big fan, correct? Sharon Osbourne is not a,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
she's not even remotely a fan.
And
Yeah, she had some
imagine
choice words.
imagine the Osbournes and what their life was like, and that they're traumatized by what Courtney did. So you're like, they didn't exactly have the normal
Literally.
church upbringing, and Courtney was able to traumatize them. Great
Yeah,
job.
because I wanna say Courtney called the cops on them. I know the cops came at one point to the Osbournes' house because of Courtney.
Mm.
I want to say it was because she accused them of stealing, like, her TV or something. It's been a minute since I've watched that episode of their, I think it was their podcast.
Mm.
But yeah, no, it's
So we have
wild.
this now, these children. How do you think, again, I'm tangenting just for a hot second, why do you think Kurt allowed this child who Courtney had been sleeping with prior to Kurt to come in and be around Franny and Francis and watch her?
Um, my guess is that he didn't know
Mm.
um about that type of relationship having happened between Courtney and Callie.
Until it was until Cali was already embedded in the, yeah, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Um, because I mean, Callie also like worked for whole like he traveled with them, traveled with the band,
Right.
and was basically a roadie for a while. Went all over the place with them, and then she basically decided like he didn't even want to be their nanny. She basically was just kind of like, "Hey, I need a nanny, so I want you to do this now." And he was just like, okay, sure." Um, and then so yeah, it's that whole dynamic has always been really bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Um, I very much get the feeling that Kurt, um, because I think we all know why Courtney liked having the kids around. They're easy to control,
Of
the
course.
grooming,
Yeah.
whereas for Kurt, I very much got the vibe that it was because he liked kids, but also, like, he always liked kids from the time he was little working at the YMCA as,
Hmm.
a lifeguard and stuff. He always really liked kids. Um, but so I think it was like he wanted kids that he could kind of, I don't know, not have look up to him, but that he could kind of, like, have shadow him, that he could.
Like a little brother.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I started to say, like, be like their parent, but that's not it's yeah, like an older brother,
Yeah.
and he didn't really have many friends,
Yeah. Well, he
not
wasn't
anybody
allowed.
that he well, yeah, and so I think he just kind of latched onto and made the most of the relationships that he was allowed to have, and so I think the kids, Callie, Renee, Jessica, because of kinda like the innocence, but then also, Callie and Renee have that edge to them as well because where they do drugs with him and things like
Yeah.
that. Um,
And I don't know
so I
about
I
Renee, but Callie obviously knows music, which is, important to Kurt too. So they could kind of,
yeah.
yeah, talk music for
Yeah.
sure. And I know in
Yeah.
Joe's statement, he said that Kurt gave Cali a tape of music that he'd been working on. So I think, he must have cared about Cali's opinion too. They must have bonded over
Yeah.
music for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's talk about Bonnie Dillard, who is the second person that we know was there when Kurt died. And we don't know a lot about Bonnie.
No.
We know that she was a Jehovah's Witness, or was she
I
Mormon?
believe so.
Okay.
I
So
think it was Jehovah's.
she was very religious. She ended up leaving that scene and dating Joe. I believe she was also 16 or 17 at the time that Kurt passed. And she was there hanging out at the Lake Washington house with Joe, Callie, and Jennifer the night that. Uh,
I thought she was at least a little bit older because she was good friends with Jennifer.
okay. Okay, so she might have been 18.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So
know
like
she's
she
younger
wasn't
than
like,
Joe. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I was I know she wasn't like Kurt's age by
Yeah.
any
Okay.
stretch, but I felt like she was at least a little bit older than like Jessica.
Okay. Perfect. Um, Now, Bonnie is not under Courtney's thumb. And um, so unlike Jessica, she's alive, she's thriving, she has kids. She got back into religion, I think, a few years after Kurt died. We'll talk a little bit about her dating life. She was beautiful. She's still beautiful
Mhm.
today. We'll pop up
Yeah.
a picture if we have one. What I would like to say, though, and this is my opinion, is that she is not a beautiful person on the inside because she knows exactly what happened to Kurt. And unlike people like Jessica, whose career has thrived because of Courtney, or Jennifer, who's obviously passed away, and Callie, who has been living off of the fame of knowing Kurt for 31 years,
Ever.
exactly. Uh, she refuses to speak out about what happened to
Speak up.
Kurt, not even to say um, nothing weird happened. Now, our lawyer contacted Bonnie through her lawyer, and I will say that Bonnie has also been harassed by people, and that should never have happened. And I
Correct.
don't condone that by any stretch of the imagination, but um, she's very religious. And what would Jesus do? Well, I know he
Mhm.
wouldn't keep details about someone's death to himself for 31 years, allowing other children to believe that someone they idolized took
Did
his
that.
own life. And
Yeah.
now, so in my opinion, the people who have kept this to themselves are just as responsible, almost as responsible for what has happened in the aftermath of this. With the copycats
Yeah.
as the people who did this. So so she ended up getting married, having a bunch of kids. Her husband uh, is in normal Christian tradition, the head of the house, and he does not want her speaking about Kurt Cobain. He doesn't want her name associated with Kurt Cobain. Well, her name is Benita Kelsey, and our lawyer contacted her through her lawyer. She didn't say, I don't know what happened. She didn't say I wasn't there. She didn't say, oh, I'm pretty sure that Kurt did this himself. What she said was, I don't want anything to do with this. Don't contact me again. Now, what does that say to you? If you were somewhere and you were sure that the official narrative was correct, again, this is just our opinion right now. If you were sure the
Mhm.
official narrative was correct, would you not say,
My response would be, I don't have anything to say to you. To my knowledge, the man took his own life. There's
yeah,
nothing further to add.
yeah? Um, that is not what she has said. So
Yeah.
we believe she will be subpoenaed. And, at some point, she's going to need to answer for the fact that she has not said anything
Well,
in
and
31 years.
I just hope like, okay, so you can get away with, not replying to us and our lawyer and pushing this away as long as possible. But my hope is that if and when the police reach out to her, um, as a witness, that she will do the right thing and be honest.
Yeah,
Um,
I hope so too. And, they know where she works. She works at the Salvation Army in Los Angeles.
mm,
And again, I just sit here wondering, you know what? If she really believed that the official narrative is true, then please tell us.
Yeah.
We have never gone out of our way. I contacted her twice. Our lawyer contacted her once. I have never, tried to do anything else, never contacted her since. But I mean, people who are covering this up and not going, like, at least have the guts to say, if you really think nothing happened, then have the guts to say, I think you're wrong, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Then we'll go look down a different direction. Then maybe we look at something else, or we, try to see why she doesn't believe that. Or did this maybe happen a different night? Is something Joe's telling us not adding up?
Right.
But it is adding up. And the fact that she continues to be quiet is so disgusting. I mean, I
Hmm.
can't really. There was a time I felt really bad for her too, because I know she's been harassed
Yeah.
by this guy in France. And I think what he did to her is just horrible. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm so angry at who she is as a human being that I can't really state enough how mad this makes me. And there are people who put their fucking faces on the line and their lives on the line to do something for someone they didn't even know. So the fact that she sits around and does that because she doesn't want her name associated with Kurt Cobain, well, that ship has sailed, my friend.
Yeah.
You got to be part of this thing, and you did that, and it is what it is. So deal with it. I mean,
Regardless, regardless of what she does right now, till the end of time, her name will be associated with Kurt Cobain.
yes, I'll make
Period.
sure of it.
The difference is whether or not good things are said about you or bad things.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so hopefully she will be honest when the time comes. So, how do we know she was there when Kurt died? We know because, um, we know because Joe said it. We know because Joe
Yeah.
said Jennifer was there, and then Jennifer has told people she was there, that it is very likely Bonnie was there as well. We know that Courtney and Kurt knew someone named Bonnie and Joe, and that they were dating, because Courtney says that in a voicemail that is, I believe it's on our channel, and is publicly available. She talks about Joe and
Oh.
Bonnie, the drug dealers up the hill. So,
Well,
um,
and just about like every book, it's mentioned that she was Jennifer Adamson's best friend. Like
perfect.
even if that's the only mention of her, is just that she was there that one night and she was Jennifer Adams's best friend. That's so
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So that's what we know about Bonnie. Um, Hopefully, very soon she will be contacted and will tell the truth. So let's talk about the person that we don't actually think was there, but has somehow been associated with, the last week of Kurt's life for many years, and has talked about it. Did she not write a book as well, or is it
she
only
wrote a
that
book, but
she's?
I don't think it's about Kurt or anything.
I think she
But
mentions
she
him in
did.
it. Does she not? I believe.
Oh, I
Okay.
I honestly I'm not super familiar with her work or her writing or anything, so I'm not 100% positive about that.
Okay. So she has
But
been written about extensively. And I know that when Twist of Lemon, who talked to her, I guess she went
mm,
to an autograph signing of, I believe, a book signing or something in
yeah.
Ireland, asked her about Kurt, and Jessica had her removed from the
Mm,
premises. She was not rude. She was, I don't remember the exact question, but it was nothing that a normal person should have
uh,
gotten so
yeah,
worked up
it was
about, in my opinion.
basically like my friend and a friend of yours, it's a guy that's in a band whose name I'm blanking on, um essentially said, that there's something here and
Are you talking
about
about no
Kurt's
effects?
death. Yes.
Okay.
Um, I think
El
so. The
Jefe?
guy from NoFX. Yeah, El Jefe.
Yeah.
Thank you, because that
Yeah.
just fell right out of
No
my
worries.
head.
Yeah.
um, but so she brought him up and was asking her about Kurt, and Jessica immediately got like defensive and started crying and started to act like she was going to answer the question, and then said, "Actually, no, you don't deserve an answer," and then had her
Sure.
forcefully escorted out. And like they even tried to take her phone and like the whole nine. And I don't remember the exact question but it wasn't anything extreme.
No.
And Jessica went into this whole thing about like, somebody that I considered like family and blah blah blah. Like
You knew him for 5 minutes. Give me a
the
break.
equivalent of, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, from all of I've got a few passages in here that I'm going to read that are either about her or in her words. And this is Nirvana, the True Story by Everett True. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, like it's not like she was, his best friend in the entire world and spent all day, every day with him for years or something crazy. Like
Yeah.
I, I want to say there was 3, maybe 4 times that she went up to Seattle.
Right. Yeah. So, I
And
mean,
most of that time was spent with Cali.
right. And so 31 years ago, I'm trying to think of people I knew from 31 years ago and just going like somebody I met 4 times that was kind of on my radar, but was not, the person I was dating or whatever is like, oh, that's my family. Give me a
Right,
break.
exactly. Yeah, I
I'm
know.
excessively salty today. I don't know why. I don't know if the Seattle trip has made me extra salty, just
You
like,
got
but
your snark on, babe. I
oh
love
my
it.
God. I dislike these people, except for beautiful Jennifer, who we have no, nothing against. And of course,
Yeah.
but I'm not a fan of people who have, especially, I mean, not Bonnie, but especially someone like Jessica, who has benefited from this death. Uh,
Yeah.
Deplorable
Mm,
doesn't even cover it. So,
no. And I mean, she's still close, I believe, with Callie.
yeah,
Like
of course she
there's a
is.
photo
Sure.
of the two of them together from not that long ago.
Right. Oh, by the way,
Uh,
sorry, before we talk about that, who wanted to date Bonnie after Joe and Bonnie broke up? Wasn't it Kelly? No, was it Dylan? Oh, it was Erlinson. Yes, yes, yes. It was Eric. He tried to date Bonnie after Joe and Bonnie broke up. Yes.
Shut the front door.
Yes. Of course, Bonnie, no matter
Said no,
how,
thank you. I'm not that
because
desperate.
exactly. And literally, if I wanted to date a ghoul, I would, like legit ghoul.
Literally.
So yeah. So
Literally.
anyways, and maybe that was the turning point where she's like, you know what? Religion is much better than this because this person, and she went back to her
Eric
parents.
Erlandson made her go back to God.
Yes, honestly, now we're
I
getting
would rather
somewhere.
turn to God than him too. So
100%.
can't
Yeah,
really. Ooh.
absolutely.
Yeah, no, he's creepy McCreeperstein.
Oh,
So,
yeah. And
ugh.
we have gotten so many messages from people who knew him, people who knew people who dated him, and just the vibe this guy, well, you know what? I better say the vibe this guy allegedly gives off, because I've never been in the room with him, is just like, ick, you know?
Yeah, I've talked to numerous people that have said that he gives off like a very creepy, dark, like almost ominous
Mm,
vibe. Like
yeah.
that his energy is just not. And he literally calls himself like I don't know if he's actually a practicing one or not, but he calls himself a death doula.
Mm, cool.
Like
Yeah. He's,
and he's like the
I,
Grim Reaper.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you're, I would, being Courtney's lapdog, I mean, you would have to be the Grim Reaper to, to even be a party to anything that human being is up
Yeah.
to.
Like I wonder
So
if he was always soulless or if spending that much time with her just like sucked it right out of him.
I think, I mean, I think he was always soulless. I think to get in that deep, and I know people will say, well, Kurt married her. Yes, Kurt married her because she got pregnant 4 months in, and she made him think she was the underdog, etc. Eric has been her lapdog for 33, 34 years. So it's a very different thing. We know Kurt wanted a divorce, so that, at some point, even though he had this beautiful daughter, he was done, with this abusive, narcissistic lunatic.